have those criteria. Okay. Jake, you ready? Oh, we're waiting on Selena. Hey, how are ya? Good. Fine. That's all right. Maybe grand entrance anyway. That's garbage can. Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order for December 14th, City of Erie, Pennsylvania Zoning Hearing Board. Why don't we pledge the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You want to take roll call, Jake? Where'd Jake go? Oh, there you are. They're hiding behind the board there.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Johnson.
Present?
Ms. King. Present. Mr. Dawson. Absent. Ms. Gunchin.
Present.
Mr. Manella. Present. 4 members present, quorum is achieved.
Okay, we call for a motion for the approval of the November 9th, 2021 minutes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
So we actually continued the November 9th meeting.
Okay.
So those minutes aren't ready for approval yet. What we would be doing today is technically reopening the November 9th meeting so that we can continue testimony on the Irving School Site appeal or application for variance. And then once that's done, we would close that meeting and go on to the items on the December 14 agenda.
Very good. With that said, let's get the swearing in over for everyone. We'll swear you in, and if you're going to speak, take your mask off, state your name and your address. Okay, with that said, the stenographer will swear you in. Mr. Morrow?
Anybody, why don't you stand and raise your right hands? Anybody that's going to testify?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, do we have to swear in the individuals on the internet as well?
Is there anybody on there? Okay.
If there's anybody who's going to be testifying, they would be sworn in. Just given the number of folks that you have there, I think probably the most practical thing to do would be to, if somebody is going to present, if they raise their hand and we recognize them, they would be sworn in at that point in time. It's a simple enough thing to do.
Okay, thank you, just so they're on the record, thank you.
Yep.
All right, Jake, you want to start with number 4 on the agenda?
Yes, first up is the continuation of appeal number 12261 by Woda Cooper Development, Inc., on behalf of the Erie School District concerning property located at 2310 Plum Street in an R2 medium-density residential zoning district. The appellant is requesting a use variance to construct a 60-unit multiple-family dwelling. Per Section 204.12 of the city zoning ordinance, multiple-family dwellings are not a permitted use in an R2 district.
Okay, at this point, Mr. Roth, are you going to represent Woda Cooper Development? You can take your mask off if you want.
First, I would like to thank you for allowing this continuance and gave us the opportunity again to meet with the neighborhood community, received additional input, provided them some input from our side from the standpoint of how it would be developed, what we could do, what we couldn't do. On the project, we developed a new site plan, which is on the pedestal there, locating the building on just the school site, leaving the open green area, so-called ball field playground area, as an open space. And then created the additional parking and access to the site. Their requests included to try to reduce the number of access points on the 3 streets that are being utilized for the site. We were able to do that, I believe, to their satisfaction. And then we have many other things that we have taken up with them, which I'd like to cover a little bit after the Erie School District speaks on behalf of the owner of the property. Randy Persnicki is here, so I'd like him to come up and make his presentation first.
Very well. Randy, you want to state your name and address, please?
Yes, my name is Randy Persnicki. Work address is 148 West 21st Street, Erie, PA. I am the Director of Non-Instructional Support Services for the Erie City School District. Part of my responsibilities involve the maintenance, upkeep, and overall upkeep of district-owned buildings.
Let me
Sir?
interrupt you for 1 second. Ben, do you need him to spell his last name?
I was just going to ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
P as in Paul, R-U-C-H-N-I-C-K-I. Just to give a little bit of timeline on the Irving property, the last school year that building was used was the 2011-2012 school year. So the building has been vacant since June of 2012. The district has used it occasionally for storage, but that is about it that the building has been used for. When the building went vacant in June of 12, was not officially up for sale, but we did field some calls about the building, but no real promise there, no offers or anything along those lines. In August of 2017, to make the property more attractive, what we did is we split the property into two separate parcels. The property that Mr. Roth was mentioning earlier, it was originally one parcel. Then in 2017, we split it up into two separate parcels, with the building being on one parcel and then the softball field or green space being on the other parcel. In December of 2017, the district put the property up for bid to see if we would have any takers to purchase the property. At that point, we received 0 bids for the property, so nobody was interested. In April of 2018, the property was listed with Randy Rozeski at Howard Hanna Realty. Shortly thereafter, I believe it was August of 2019, we did receive an offer for the building and the property. At that time, the Erie School Board reviewed the offer and some of the contingency plans that went along with that offer. At that time, the Erie School Board decided that offer, they would not accept that offer. Both parties went back and forth a couple times. However, a deal was not reached. In just this past September, the Erie School Board received another offer. This time was from the WODA Group. The Erie School Board reviewed that offer, had some preliminary conversations with the WODA Group, and then decided to accept that offer at their October 2021 meeting. Some of the concerns that we've had with that building, and part of the reason that that the Erie School District wants to sell the building, obviously it's been vacant for 9 years, going on 10 years here. The district still has been responsible for the utilities of the building, upkeep, trying to maintain the property around the building, trying to keep it from being vandalized or anything along those lines. So trying to keep it in a respectable fashion for the neighborhood. We've also had countless conversations with our insurance broker. Because the building's been vacant for so long, we have now reached the point where we're having troubles finding an insurance company to insure us on this vacant building for the past 10 years. Again, we have the continued maintenance costs, utility costs. In addition, for those that don't know, the Erie School District was placed in a financial watch status a number of years ago. At that point, we had an administrator assigned to the Erie School District. Part of his plan states that the district is to sell any unused school district buildings. This would fall under that category. The Erie School District has requested from the state that we be released from the financial watch status. But again, this is one of the points that, one of the goals that they wanted us to make is that we no longer own buildings that we're not using. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have, I think you have all gotten copies of data from WODA Group in response to Section 9 as a requirement for a variance or use variance. A few comments to that that I thought would be appropriate deals with the ADA handicap requirements of the building. This particular building plus the funding source, PHFA, not only requires handicap units, but requires the entire building to be accessible into every unit. And so if a visitor comes to a unit and is handicapped, that unit will be able to facilitate the use of the space while they're there. I think, unless you have questions on the Section 9, I would be glad to discuss WODA's response to your requirements. The only other thing I wanted to bring up in that regard is the existing building is less height than the original building. We did look at early on when an option agreement was received, how could we use that original building? And the outcome of it was not usable without major additions being placed on the building. And the cost of renovating existing historical buildings, which WODA has many projects across the eastern United States that they have renovated buildings that were in better condition than this building. And their cost, we have outlined, and I'll go over that with you in a second, outline how that impacts the total cost of a project. I realize cost is not to be a criteria on a building, but it shows that utilizing a portion of the existing building and or the whole building plus additions far exceed the ability of the project to be feasible. So we have issued a existing condition, impervious surface of the site area as it exists. The existing building contains 21,183 square feet. The existing parking lots are 23,850 square feet, and the existing sidewalks are 6,885 square feet, for a total of 51,918 square feet. The new building, as we propose there, would be a footprint of 19,882 square feet. The parking lots would be 23,440 square feet, and new sidewalks would be 6,232 square feet, or a total of 49,554 square feet, which is less than the existing conditions there of 2,364 square feet. Why I did this analysis was there was concerns from the neighborhood about the impact of storm drainage being an issue in the area currently. And this shows that we will be producing less runoff. We'll have more green space to slow the runoff of the building site. So we will not in any way harm the existing conditions that are there. We can only improve it by what we're doing. Then the second thing the neighborhood group asked was, well, why can't you reuse the building? And I believe this was issued to you, a cost analysis of looking at the reuse of the building, the whole building, just a portion of the existing building, and how it related to a new building. To use the entire building would cost over $10 million to renovate the existing and add major additions of 33,000 square feet. If we just took into consideration, which is what the neighborhood community would like to see, was can we salvage just the very original building without the addition? So I did do that analysis also, and that came out to $8,600,000. And with the new building, and these costs are all historical costs that have been generated by WODA Construction through the use of their construction company. And and the data that they have gotten from historical structures like the project they redid in Wesleyville. So we use their numbers in addition to the numbers they have for new construction. So the difference is either 10,800,000, 8,600,000 for renovations and expansion, or a new building of $5,886,000. So at the two options of reusing the existing building would make the project totally infeasible, and the school district would be saddled with trying to do something with the building. With that, I will take any questions you might have with regards to Woda Cooper.
You have anything, Selena? Laura, you have anything?
I don't have any questions per se, but wanted to thank you for the work that you've done between our last meeting and today. It's clear that you took to heart our concerns and questions, and we appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much.
PJ? Is there anybody else to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this variance? Last call. Anyone want to speak in favor of this variance?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a hand raised from one of the Zoom participants.
All right? But they need to be sworn in.
That would be Ms. Heather Casper.
Name and address?
Yes.
This is Heather Casper. I'm speaking on behalf of the Churches of St. Joseph Neighborhood Network, and our address is 425 West 18th in Erie.
What was the address?
Let's hold a sec, we're getting some feedback.
I'm hearing all reverberation. I think I heard someone ask.
There's too many microphones. Heather, if you could just repeat your address.
I know that there's not a.
Hold on. I need sworn in. Dan, you want to swear in?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Continue.
I'm speaking from a neutral position, not necessarily in favor, not necessarily against the proposal. The neighborhood network has facilitated some neighborhood meetings between Vale Rock and representatives of Cooper. Some of them reuse and mitigation of current issues that are presenting problems for Wood Cooper would most certainly be less costly or something better suited to the building's current configuration. However, other ideas which have been proposed for the site have never made it to the stage of development like Wood was planned. And the neighborhood group spent quite a bit of time discussing this as well. And all are aware of the desire and the financial needs of the Erie School District to divest itself of the ongoing care and keeping of urban schools. Nobody wants to see a viable project or developer walk away only to be followed by another decade of vacant decline. One neighbor said the saddest outcome would be a vacant building. All very encouraged by the responsiveness of their raw vintage design of the property. And while we couldn't entirely make out during our last call, from Wood Cooper was an intended to actually have the authority to guarantee the changes were made. At least on the surface, it seems like the neighbors' input is being seriously taken into account. As is, your board is tasked to decide if the variance request meets all of the criteria to be approved. The neighbors just want to make sure that their desires are heard either way. If that means the project moves forward, they're prepared to move forward as well. And will direct maintaining the character of the neighborhood from the perspective of the neighbors who have lived there and raised families there and intend to retire there. And maintaining that character means some specific things. Means maintaining public access to the green space is the very top priority. There was talk about this space being donated or purchased by the city for an extension of Washington Park in order to absolve Wood Cooper of maintenance or potential liability concerns. That seems like a wonderful solution. The current exterior of the planned building does not fit the neighborhood age or unique architectural characteristics from the perspective of the neighbors. The vinyl and shutters would be perfect in a suburban neighborhood, but here they do not fit. More masonry is needed. And think of projects that hands build in the neighborhood. You know that developers using the same foundations are able to accomplish this very well. The school building still has hidden, but they're there, some amazing elements. These include some original and amazing beams in the topmost portion of the original school. Even more amazing skylights hidden above drop ceiling, interior tile work, and the grand archway that's always defined the school, which could be incorporated into the building's redesign. An historic or memory installation on the site would also be a valuable addition. Pictures, the history of the building, a sculpture using salvaged materials, some sort of public installation could be a wonderful place for former students to come together to remember the great school. If the project moves forward and these desires are met, valued and met, the residents would be ready to switch to what opportunities does this present instead of concerns. Seniors will love the green space and the walkability of the neighborhood. How can Wood Cooper help to integrate their new tenants with the existing residents? The neighbors see multi-generational activities, learning opportunities, and even the potential for wrapping in the development plans for the redeveloped school site. In the end, the neighborhood understands its value and does believe it has much to offer any project. The developer that values the history and strong nostalgia tied to its site will also harness the true benefits of entry with new residents of any age into such a committed and community-focused community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in favor of the variance? Anyone else to speak in favor of the variance? Anyone else to speak in favor of the variance? Anybody would like to speak against the variance? Anybody like to speak against the variance?
Mr. Chairman,
Anybody want to speak against the variance?
we do have another hand raised. Melinda Meyer, her hand was raised earlier, so I'm not sure whether she's speaking in favor or against.
It needs to be sworn in. Name and address.
My name is Melinda Meyer. I'm speaking on behalf of Preservation Erie. So my personal address is 114 Carver Avenue. The address of Preservation Erie is 10 East 5th Street, Fox Street.
Thank you. She sworn in? Okay. You gotta swear you in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, continue.
Okay, and so I'm kind of in a similar position as Heather. It was difficult to determine whether or not to speak now or later, because again, I am also speaking from almost a point of a position of neutrality, of really wanting to reinforce the conversations that have been had with the residents and residents' wishes. So I'm going to start with, first of all, thanking the members of the Zoning Hearing Board for responding to residents' petition to delay a vote on the variance application from Woder Cooper Development. This past month was really critical for residents to tour Irving School, gather information, speak with Erie's Public Schools, and hold meaningful discussions with the development company. Thank you too for this opportunity to speak again today. Since the last Zoning Hearing Board meeting, a group of at least 7 to 8 residents and stakeholders toured Irving School. The purpose of that tour was really to look at the condition of the building in 2021 and try to assess the reusability of it. We found the building to be sound, weather-tight, and in good condition. And we've also had the chance to connect with a handful of building professionals, such as architects and preservation specialists. The reason this was done was to be able to better assess or evaluate WODA's proposed plans and cost estimates and formulate questions for their development team. Residents have spoken with and emailed WODA's team multiple times over the past month, and these discussions have really been fruitful. The development team has been responsive to neighbors' concerns and revised the proposed plans to address several issues, such as preservation of the existing green space, orienting the new building so that it is parallel to the streets. If you recall, the original orientation of the building had it diagonal across the lot, and reconfiguring the entryways to the parking lots. This responsiveness has been greatly appreciated and has created a real sense of optimism, I think, for this project. Even with the responsiveness and the changes that have been made to the proposed plans, there are still a few items maybe to address. I hate to refer to them as concerns because I think that puts things in a negative light. So I'm just going to kind of jump into what these kind of things that remain to be addressed. To reiterate Heather's comments with regards to the number of units to be built, it does seem like 60 is perhaps too many for this block. A 60 housing unit building has the potential to impact the traffic or general congestion of the neighborhood, and of course the water retention and or flooding, which is already an issue for the neighborhood. We've guessed, however, that the 60 units are required to make this development project profitable, and so there may not be an option to really decrease that number. From the get-go, residents have prioritized preservation of the green space west of Irving School. The grassy lot is well used by the neighborhood, and residents wish to see it remain an accessible space. The development team has offered to speak with the city about formalizing the green space and perhaps even adding it to Washington Park and transferring responsibility for the lot to the city. We understand that WODA has at least reached out to Jake, if I have that information correct, regarding these intentions. There are many details to work out, and neighbors really do wish to remain, to be informed and even remain involved in these discussions going forward, particularly around that green space. Residents have also asked that architectural details and building materials from Irving School be salvaged and incorporated into the new construction. This will serve two purposes, really. First, it will pay tribute to the history of Irving School, which the oldest building, or the oldest section of that building dates back to 1897, and it has served thousands of neighborhood children and their families. Second, it makes sense from a sustainability perspective. Again, the existing building is in relatively good condition, and it seems somewhat wasteful to demolish the structure and send the bulk of the material to a landfill, right? As reiterated by the WODA team in an email, it is their intent to work with residents to save and reuse any materials deemed important by those who share a respect for this building. It's really going to be important that this intent is followed through on. Finally, there are some issues remaining with the overall design of the new construction, which in no way aligns with or matches the aesthetics and character of the existing neighborhood. The proposed building is similar in design to development projects in suburban areas. It is clearly new construction that could be from really anywhere. There is a desire to see the new construction tweaked to include more materials found elsewhere in the neighborhood and that are near or mimic the residential homes of the neighborhood. These ideas really haven't been explored thoroughly between the neighbors and the WODA team. So there's much more kind of conversation that can be done with the overall design of the new construction. If these issues are addressed and or verbal commitments followed through on, it really will, I think, go a long way with the residents of the neighborhood. While Preservation Erie, we don't necessarily agree as an organization with the assessment that the Irving School building, which has been an anchor for the neighborhood for more than 100 years, cannot be reused. Yes, not all buildings can or should be saved, but we've certainly seen buildings in far worse shape repurposed. Residents have done an amazing job gathering information, listening to one another, and vetting ideas, and we really do support its decisions and requests that have been made to the WODA team. You know, as Heather shared, and again, I'll reiterate, the best scenario really would be to see the school reused. But on the flip side, the saddest scenario would be to see Irving School sit as a vacant property for an additional 10 years. And so again, that's why I too am really speaking from a point of neutrality and yet in support of what the residents have really expressed as their wishes and hopes for this development. And I would be happy to answer any questions if there are questions about anything I've said today. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you.
You got anything for me? Yeah, I believe so. Hold on, I'll check. Is there anybody else that is in favor or against this variance? All right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Roth. Oh, Mr. Roth, I had a question for you really quickly. Now, is this the final design for the project, or are you open to modification still?
I've assured the neighborhood group in the meetings I had with them as a local architect that I would not design this in a vacuum. I live here. I want to see the project done right. I've agreed that we would work into the existing building. In fact, I did some initial sketching of how I could redo some of the main entrance areas and the core of where the community room would be, how we could work in some of the woodwork and some of the door work that's part of the historical aspect of the building. There apparently is some glass windows above ceilings that you can't see. I assured them that we would work that into the building. And also had, looking at the building, there's some exterior features that I think are very important that might be able to be saved and worked into it, some of the stonework. So I am committed to do the right thing for the community and to meet with the community leaders there to go through as we develop this project. We first have to get it funded naturally. Once that's happened, then we would, I assure you, we'd be in contact with the appropriate people in the neighborhood to make them feel comfortable about the project. One of the good things about it is the building is there to serve the elderly of the community. And some of those same neighbors in that neighborhood could possibly be some of the first residents in that building. So it's a needed project, we feel. I feel from a local standpoint, it's a needed project for the elderly, providing affordable housing. So both issues, I think we can accomplish by cooperation between everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Laura? BJ? Okay, no further questions? We're ready to call for a vote. Jake?
Actually, what my recommendation would be at this point in time is that we close the record on this, and that at the conclusion of the meeting, we go into executive session to talk about all of the different proposals that we're going to be hearing today. And at that point in time, we can come out and either make a vote today or come up with some proposed findings of fact and conclusions of law in a formal adjudication to do that. Again, part of it, as I had pointed out in my email yesterday, since you weren't present for the first part of the hearing, it would really be Ms. Schmidt that would run that vote and that discussion. So that would be my recommendation at this point in time, instead of just taking a vote at the floor. I think that probably some discussion needs to go into it.
Do you want to have an executive session? No. PJ here, you want to have one?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So that will close the record on the appeal number 12261, and that would close the meeting for November 9th of 2021.
Okay.
And you would reopen a meeting for today then?
Do you want to go into executive session now?
No, I think that we can do one executive session at the end and then come out, because we've got two other appeals to hear.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think everybody needs to sit all afternoon here either. If they're going to for other appeals.
Well, Ms. Schmidt, you would actually be in charge of that, so if the board wants to do an executive session right now, we could.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready to resume. Can we have a motion for the conditions on the appeal?
I'll make that motion. Mr. Martinucci, could you read the conditions for us?
It'd be great if Dale were, oh, there you are, Dale. I just want to make sure you were still in. So the conditions that were discussed and that are part of Ms. Gunchin's motion would be for WODA to continue to pursue with the City of Erie the possible designation of the green space as a park or an extension of an existing park. That WODA would also incorporate wherever possible portions of the existing building or architectural elements from the existing building in order to preserve the character of the neighborhood, and also that it consider its design in that same fashion. So with regard to the exterior look, the materials used, that it be done in such a way as to preserve the character of the neighborhood, and also that there be adequate screening in between the parking lots as designated there on your site plan, and the adjacent green space. So those would be the conditions for the variance.
Madam Vice Chair, I so second that motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Jake, can we call for the vote on that?
Thank you. Ms. Gunchin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Manella?
Yes.
Ms. King?
Yes.
By a 3-0 vote, the appeal is approved.
Madam Vice
That
Chair.
was the conditions.
I'm sorry.
So we approved the conditions on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke.
That's okay. And now can we have a motion to move forward with the variance?
Madam Vice Chair, I move that we move forward with the variance now that we've approved those conditions as stated by the solicitor.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Jake? We'll call for the vote on the variance.
Okay, we have a call for the vote. Ms. Gunchin, how do you
Yes.
vote?
Yes.
Mr. Manella?
Yes.
Ms. King?
Yes.
By a 3-0 vote, the appeal is approved.
We'll simply note for the record that because Mr. Johnson was not present at the November 9th hearing, he did not participate in the discussion or the vote on this matter.
Thank you, congratulations. Thank you. Free to go.
There you go, Dale.
Okay, Jake, you want to go to, what is it, number 5, appeal number 12-262.
Okay, under appeals to be heard, we have appeal number 12-262 by 15 West 10th Street, owner LLC, on behalf of Erie LLC, concerning property located at 16 West 10th Street in a C3 Central Commercial Zoning District. The appellant is requesting a dimensional variance to construct a 219-unit multiple-family dwelling. Per Section 205 of the City Zoning Ordinance, the minimum lot area per family in a C3 district is 1 dwelling unit for every 1,000 square feet of building size. Based on the 150,000 square foot building, the maximum number of dwelling units allowed is 150. 219 units are proposed.
Okay, who's the spokesman for the group? Name and address, please, and you're sworn in, correct?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Michael Agresti, 300 State Street, Suite 300, Erie, PA 16507. I'm here today representing 15 West 10th Street owner, LLC. With me today is David Mitchell. He traveled from New York to be here with us. He is the one of the owners of that entity, which is a subsidiary of a company that David formed recently called Good Homes Co. I am delighted to be here for a number of reasons, not the least of which is, like many of you, I'm a lifelong Erie resident. I have 5 children. I want them to stay in Erie when they grow up and get out of college. Projects like this that I'm about to describe are what are going to keep our kids in Erie. Good Homes was formed by David because he saw a perfect storm of obsolete hotels built in heavy numbers back 30, 40 years ago. On top of that, there is a shortage of workforce housing. Workforce housing is described as housing for individuals earning between $35,000 and $85,000 a year. These are individuals who do not qualify for affordable housing, and they don't necessarily make enough money to pay for the higher grade, more expensive, larger apartments that are available and that are being built, frankly, right down the road. This meets a need within Erie. He identified Erie because there is a very large hotel sitting in the middle of our downtown that is dying. Erie needs workforce housing, and Erie has an opportunity zone. That is a wonderful piece of legislation that went into effect in 2017. It has brought in investment across the park, and it's brought this gentleman here to Erie to try to revitalize this key piece of property. Mr. Mitchell and his company have over 30 years of finance, mergers and acquisitions, and real estate investment experience. He's been involved in projects that total over $4 billion. He's been involved in multifamily housing throughout his career. The Avalon is a perfect candidate for this type of housing. It is located within the Opportunity Zone. John Persinger testified a month ago before Congress, and he said, Congress should study why Opportunity Zones are working in Erie, Pennsylvania, when decades of other federal policies have failed or underperformed, and assess how, going forward, more legislation can be crafted like Opportunity Zones so that people who live in communities similar to Erie have the flexibility to attract investment to meet community needs. That's exactly what's occurred here. Community needs can be met by the project that Mr. Mitchell and his company are proposing. There is, in fact, a strong need for workforce housing. That's been confirmed to us by our meetings with major employers within the downtown core. We met with Hammett, we met with Erie Insurance, Marquette, Gannon University. They were delighted with this project. They were excited by it. Gannon University indicated not only would it be a good fit for many of their younger employees, it would be a good fit for their graduate students. They don't have housing for those graduate students, and they struggle to find them adequate apartments. And they often have to do that on short notice, particularly with international students. Hammett indicated that this is perfect for much of their workforce that is within that salary range. Young nurses, young aides, young professionals just getting started, this is the type of project, the type of apartment that they would want to live in. We have a functionally obsolete hotel, members of the board. The Avalon was once the Hilton. It was a great hotel. It was built in 1976, and it has slowly declined. It's been a long, slow death. Its current owner has tried. He has spent money. He has tried to fight this tide, but unfortunately it's been unsuccessful. He's competing against 4 brand new hotels along the bayfront, and there simply is not a viable business there as a hotel. He has tried on several occasions to sell with no success. Despite all that, it's a great structure. There's nothing wrong with the building. It's built well. It's built of steel and concrete, and that is perfect for a developer like Good Homes, because to build multifamily housing from the ground up at the price point that he's going to be at, $800 to $1,000 a month in rent, is not feasible. You have to find a building like this. 90% of it's already there, and it's just a matter of refurbishing it, revitalizing it. It has all of the egress that's suitable for a hotel. which is a high level of life safety. There are 3 large stairwells, one at each end and one in the middle. These are the existing conditions. It was built to house guests in 193 rooms. We're told by the current owner that the average number of people staying in a hotel is 2.5 people. That's roughly 500 people sleeping in that building, and that was what it was designed for. The project proposed by Good Homes, and Mr. Mitchell is here to answer questions. I'm just going to give you the facts, and he can attest to them when he stands up. They're looking to spend $8 to $9 million after they buy it. That doesn't include the purchase price. That money will go into stripping this building down to its core elements, putting in all new electrical, making sure that it's all up to the latest code standards. They will build studio apartments, mostly, given the size of the bays of the hotel rooms and the walls that are existing, and the fact that that's in demand. There will also be 1-bedroom apartments built, mainly on the 2nd floor, which consists of unused and empty convention meeting rooms as part of their overall convention business there. The studio apartments are anticipated to be around 390 square feet, and the 1-bedrooms are anticipated to be around 780 square feet. There will be significant investment into life safety. The entire fire alarm system will be upgraded to be compliant with multi-family requirements. They will make sure that the existing sprinkler system that covers the 1st floor and the basement is working and passes all tests. They'll make sure that the electrical loads are sufficient to handle the kitchen equipment that they will be installing. They'll make sure that there is code-compliant emergency lighting, as well as lighting for all the stairwells, and the exterior of the building will be well lit. They'll ensure that all the hand and guardrails are compliant. They'll make sure all the entry doors are fire rated. The walls themselves in between the rooms are currently have a fire rated drywall. To the extent that is removed to do the electrical upgrades or to create larger spaces, it will be replaced where necessary with just as good, if not better, fire rated drywall. The rest of the building is a concrete shell and steel. There will also be security camera coverage around the building. Significant investment will go into creating a community feel. This building, there's a lot of space. I'm sure you've all been in it. You have a massive ballroom. Much of that will become tenant storage, a place for tenants, primarily who are going to be younger people, to store their kayaks, their bikes, their other outdoor equipment, their tools if they happen to be in a trade. There's plenty of space for that. The current restaurant will likely be converted into a tenant lounge with a game room, the kinds of things that young people want. There'll be meeting rooms available for them. There'll be event rooms if they want to have family from out of town. There'll be sun decks. There'll be co-working space. There'll be a fitness center. Outdoor grilling areas in the courtyard that you can kind of see if you look when you're walking down State Street. There is a courtyard there. To the extent it's allowed by the city, there'll be an outdoor grilling area with picnic tables. They may even revitalize the pool, but we need to do some inspections before we make that commitment. There'll be additional amenities for these tenants. New and ample laundry facilities, likely on every other floor, maybe every floor, depending on space. There will be off-street parking within the parking ramp that exists in the basement of approximately 100 cars. In addition to that parking, we also have the ramp at 10th and State behind the Renaissance Center, which has a significant amount of empty space in it at this time. So to the extent there's more parking needed than what's on site, there would be leases available at that location. Mr. Mitchell would tell you that his research indicates that a number of these people won't have cars anyway. Many of them will be working close to this location or going to school at Gannon, and they won't have a need for a car. And we all know that that's really the future of the young people. They don't waste money on cars. They can get Uber, they can walk. So we don't really have any concerns about the availability of parking. There are a number of empty storefronts You drive by, you forget about them because they haven't been lit for years. The plan is to revitalize that. There's rent to be paid, there's money to be made to make this project feasible. That will all be revitalized. We mentioned at our meeting with Gannon that we'd like to team up with them. Maybe one of the bays would be for their business school to develop. They loved that idea. The business school was 40 feet down the sidewalk. Finally, with regard to the improvements, there will be an emphasis on the streetscape. There will be improvements to the exterior of the building. Everyone we've met with has said, it's an eyesore. We get it. It's not a good-looking building. But I can assure you that Mr. Mitchell and his group is not going to spend $8 to $9 million on improvements and leave that place looking like that. Will it change altogether? No. We can't change the shape of that building. It's odd. But it can be made to look a lot better. And the streetscape will have a lot to do with that. What you see as you drive by will dramatically change as new life is brought into those retail stores and the streetscape is changed. Members of the board, what I've just described to you is transformational. It is huge for Erie, Pennsylvania. And I'm thankful that there is someone, a group willing to invest this kind of money in our city. It is transformational, but it requires your help. It requires a dimensional variance. The project is simply not feasible with 150 units. That is what the current zoning restricts us to because of the 1 unit per 1,000 square foot requirement of Section 205. We would be limited to the 150 under that. Mr. Mitchell can explain, as you ask him questions, why it just does not pencil out. The cash flow is not there to make this an economically viable project with only 150 units paying between, I think I said 800, it's actually 750 for the studio and 1,000 for the one bedrooms. It just is not, there's not enough units. You are all well aware of the legal standards for a variance. You hear them every time you're here. The undue hardship here is that we have a functionally obsolete hotel. It cannot be redeveloped into multifamily housing under the current zoning limitation. It simply can't happen. If it could, others would have come forward and done it. If it could be a hotel, others would have carried through on their agreements to come in and revitalize it as a hotel. It's simply out of range to get a national flag to put their name on that hotel. The amount of money required makes that a non-starter. So we have this density limitation that presents an undue hardship that was not created by Mr. Mitchell or his group. It just is a function of the size of the building, where it is located, and the fact that you cannot have an economically viable multifamily housing with only 150 units. The safety issues have been addressed, and it will be a safer building once completed than it is now. There will be less people sleeping under that roof than it's currently designed and can be used for as a hotel. We estimate that most of these apartments will be one person, single people coming to Erie to work or from Erie that want to work downtown. So we estimate that even if there are a few apartments with 2 people, a couple living in it, we may hit 250 tenants total. That's half of what that building used to hold on a good night, back when it was an in-demand hotel. The 1 to 1,000 ratio, it doesn't make sense for this building. We understand the thought process, the idea that we want to create safer housing for people. We get that. But the type of apartments that we're describing here are safe. The 1 bedroom square footage is the same size as some houses in downtown, in the area around downtown. And there are 3 or 4 or 5 people living in some of those houses, unfortunately. So we don't think that this alters the safety. It would be enhanced. If this variance is granted, there will be no alteration of the essential character. Far from it. There will be an enhancement, a drastic improvement of the essential character of the neighborhood. This is the downtown core of Erie. to put 219 to 250 workers, people earning a living in that location is transformational. It will alter it. It will. Dramatically improve it is what it'll do. Think about all the restaurants and retail stores that are struggling. There's 219 to 250 new residents coming. I'm sure they'll welcome that. It will not alter or will not impair the use or development of any adjacent properties. It's another factor you need to consider. Again, it'll only enhance those adjacent properties. I don't think there's anybody here to ask you to vote against this, particularly not anybody who's got a business or money invested in the blocks that surround this. It is the perfect complement to what's happening across the park. I mean, it's amazing what's happening over there. To have this 6 blocks up the road, an alternative for people who may not be able to afford the beautiful apartments that they've just opened. They're incredible, they're beautiful, but they're $1,500, I think, starting. And that's great for people that are earning enough to afford that. This provides the next level down. The finishes will be just as nice, I assure you. In your packets, there are renderings of what we expect these units to look like. Granite countertops, hardwood or the engineered hardwood style floors, the finishes that young people want to see in a modern state-of-the-art building, just at a price point that they can afford. There will be no detriment to the public welfare, one of the final factors that you have to consider. Right now it's a hotel. It's transient use, people coming and going, people from out of town, people perhaps with very little connection to Erie, Pennsylvania. We would be replacing them with workforce individuals who work downtown, who have made Erie their home, maybe temporarily, but it's their home. And the leases will be for 1 year. It is not going to be an Airbnb. It is not going to be short-term housing. The rents I mentioned, $750 to $1,000. This is not subsidized housing. This is private venture with commercial financing. We believe that the public welfare, like all the other factors, will be enhanced rather than a detriment. So as you look through all the factors for granting a variance, I hope and trust that you'll find that this project meets all of them. It will change Erie for the better, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. Mr. Mitchell is here to answer questions about the project, any of the details I may have left out. I thank you for your attention.
There's no questions from the board at this time. Is there anybody else to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anyone else to speak in favor of the variance?
Mr. Chairman,
Speak in favor of the variance. Is there anybody against the variance? Is there anyone against the variance?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a hand raised. A Zoom attendee with a hand raised.
You do? Somebody that, okay.
Yes.
They'll have to be sworn in.
I wish to speak.
Okay, state your name and address.
My name is Fred Pepper, 1738 West 25th Street, here in Pennsylvania.
Okay, raise your right hand and get sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm.
All right, continue.
Okay, well, I applaud the idea of providing workforce housing. I'm a little concerned about what the definition of workforce is. As we've seen in the pandemic, there's the need for more workforce. And there's a need
I think that having only a market rate workforce housing versus a affordable and market rate mixed workforce housing would be a more appropriate use of downtown location. We have many people working in restaurants, in retail, all kinds of employment that don't make a lot of money, but they need to live somewhere too. And I would imagine that for this kind of mixed housing, there would be more financial assistance available in order to make it financially feasible for the proposed use of the property. Also, the lawyer said that Mitchell owns the hotel, but I do not believe it has been purchased yet. And that is always a concern when a variance is issued, because the person who has not yet purchased it can always walk away, but the variance has been left in place. So I guess I would like to know what the actual fact there is. In his application, the applicant talked about how demonstration that this kind of housing would be similar character to existing housing. He used as an example Bernard House Apartments, other buildings that are in fact low income and affordable housing. So I thought that was a very interesting comparison on their part. Again, I think a mixed pricing structure, just like I believe the Boston store has a mixed pricing structure of workforce housing, is a good idea. But putting an additional 70 units over the required amount would change the character of the downtown. And it's not appropriate to compare hotel occupancy with living occupancy, saying at full occupancy the hotel had X number of people. We're talking about people living there, cooking, all kinds of things that people do not do in a hotel. So I am concerned that we are providing this entity with a variance to take this opportunity to provide for downtown housing, but restrict it to an income level that would shut out people who do the important work of our town, who are the people who work in the restaurant, in the childcare, and who are caregivers, and who do other things in our town that we can't live without. So I recommend that some kind of modification of this application to be mixed housing. And I would like to see the applicant do a little more investigation over what kind of subsidies there could be in that case. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else to speak against the variance? Anyone else to speak against the variance?
Mr. Chairman, we do have one other hand raised from a Zoom attendee. Kendrick Tate.
Needs to be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Name and address?
Yes, Kendrick Tate. I live at 1114 West 10th Street. And I have a few questions about this project. First, like the caller before me, I have some concerns about what's considered workforce housing to certain groups compared to others. I know that this presentation, this proposal today, defines workers as individuals who would be salary. Even just a quick Google search shows to me that the median income of people in the city is $21,000. Median income for households is closer to $35,000. But both of those numbers are struggling to reach that threshold that the project developers are proposing this project to benefit. So my question to the developers is, how do they plan to mitigate that difference, to close the gap between what they propose and what the lived reality is for working professionals in this city? Being a working professional myself, a young 27-year-old man, working for a city company, I'm still not at the threshold to pay $750 a month. That's a significant part of my income. And all budgeting suggestions for years has been that your rent should only be a third of your income. I'm wondering what it is that our project developers are suggesting would be the way to mitigate the cost and promote a bigger benefit to working professional individuals in the city.
Are you finished?
Are you finished? I am.
Okay. Would either of you like to reply to this gentleman?
Replying to him as well as the individual who spoke before him, because I think they had similar concerns.
Okay.
Respectfully, downtown Erie has quite a few options for affordable housing on State Street alone, as well as on French. We're filling a need. If it doesn't meet the needs of everyone, that's not really the standard for dimensional variance, for starters. But we understand what these folks are saying. They want nice housing too. Our belief, and the market indicates, that there is sufficient housing for the segment of the population that could not necessarily afford $750 a month in rent. And I should point out, I didn't say this, it's in our brief, that's all in. The rents here are all in rents. Utilities, all utilities are included. So that may change a little bit of the calculation from the individual who just spoke, but it's more like the equivalent of $500 a month gross rent when you look at it that way. But to the extent it's not attainable by a certain segment of the population that doesn't earn enough, there are other options. But this particular housing is intended for a segment of the population that everyone is telling us is underserved. All of the employers, and I forgot to mention, I do think, for the record, we do have some employers that we met with did send in letters. Jake, did you get one?
That's correct. We do have letters of support that were recently submitted.
There is a need for this, and that's how I would respond to that. That we don't. There are other opportunities, and this developer is not looking to have a mixed level where some are, they don't want to repeat what happened at the Boston store. That was their project. That is not this project.
Thank you. Any questions from the board members? You're ready.
So, Attorney Agresti, so the sale of the property is just contingent upon us granting the variance today, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I will note for the record that Attorney Agresti had previously submitted a letter from the current owner indicating his consent and approval for the proposed developer or the proposed purchaser to come in and present this variance today. So that is part of the record.
Okay. Anything else? I'll call for a vote. Jake?
for the vote. Ms. King, how do you vote?
First, I want to say thank you to Mr. Mitchell for considering Erie in your projects. As you said, it is meeting a need, and while we can't please everyone with the projects that come through with the city, we do thank you for the investment that you're bringing to the city, and so my vote will be yes, and again, thank you.
Ms. Gunchin, how do you vote?
I'd like to echo Ms. King in thanking you for giving Erie a chance, Mr. Agresti, for your presentation today. I'll also be voting yes.
Mr. Manella?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
By a 4-0 vote, the appeal is approved.
You all right? You need a restroom or anything? Or one more? Okay. All right, Jake, we're on the final appeal today. 12,263. You want to tell us about that?
Next up, we have appeal number 12263 by James McBriar on behalf of McErie Partners LP concerning property located at 263 West Front Street, located in the WR Waterfront District, Waterfront Residential Zoning District, pardon me. The applicant is requesting two-dimensional variances to construct a 4-unit multiple family dwelling. Per section 205 of the city zoning ordinance, the maximum height of a structure in a WR district is 50 feet. 64 feet is proposed. Per section 205.11 of the city zoning ordinance, the required front yard setback shall be within 5 feet of the average depth of the adjacent structures located on the block. The average front yard setback on West Front Street is 12 feet, allowing for a maximum setback of 17 feet. 20 feet is proposed.
Okay, Mr. McBriar, give us your name and address, please.
James McBriar, 1929 South Shore Drive, Erie, Pennsylvania. Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair and Board, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. I've been working on a project down in Front and Myrtle for the last 2.5 years, where our family has consolidated 4 lots, torn the houses down, and is trying to come up with a project that it could help the Bayfront. We also own another 4 parcels right around the corner from that, which we hope to continue to improve. In order to do this over the last couple of years, I have Steve Kopek here from Laird. We've attempted a number of things that we could put onto this property. The property is very narrow. It's only 50 feet wide. It's got a strange angle to it, and more importantly, I have a hardship there where we have the First Energy old utilities that are all there with guy wires going everywhere, and their inability to work with us to make that change so that we could totally use the property. So in order to come up with a plan that we think we might work, we have a very interesting plan that can put 4 units with a garage underneath on this piece of property, enhance the values of the properties in the neighborhood, and come away with a project that is private ownership. Instead of having another 12-unit or 10-unit apartment building down there, we talked to the neighbors. Jesse and Ricardo, our adjacent neighbor, are very happy about this, that we aren't going to try to put a 12-unit apartment building in there. But the real problem is it's hard to do anyways. We're trying to do something attractive for the city down there, and I think we can support 4 high-quality units with garages in that neighborhood. They're going to set a tempo for the future of the Bayfront down there. It will definitely be a tax enhancement to the community over the long term, and I'm hoping I can have the fun to do that before I decide to quit doing things. So I do have Steve Kopak here who could talk about it a little bit on the two variances. I think they're pretty straightforward. In order to put the 4 floors above the garage, we need 64 feet. And in order to put the garage in the front on Front Street and the garage in the back on our property, we need the setback for the driveway. Could I answer any questions for you? I think you have all the information. I have a rendering of the building there, and you have a site plan.
Board have any questions at this time? Laura?
Mr. McBride, could you share with us your conversations with the electric utility regarding the guy wire?
We've had another conversations with the engineer where the engineers told us that the guy wires must stay in place. They could move them slightly, which does not help us because it eliminates the need for us to get on-site parking behind there if we were to put an apartment building up, and we couldn't use it that way. So I worked with them. I was told that if I wanted to spend anywhere around $80,000 to $100,000, they might be able to put up a permanent metal pole there for me, which is totally unreasonable. The utilities in this city need to come account and start to work on some of their things so that the developers in this city can move ahead. We're looking at things that have been down there for 50, 100 years, 150 years. So that's been my big problem. And when I get around the corner on the short street, I don't have the same problem. There aren't any poles on that side of the street. So that's my issue, and hope you might be able to help me out on this.
Thank you.
PJ, anything, right, this time? Selena?
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you for your service, too, and thank you for all the time you've spent here.
thank you. Is there anybody else to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anybody else to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anybody else to speak in favor of this variance? Is there anybody here to speak against the variance? Name and address, please.
Ed Kissel, 2815 Sigsbee. Knowing that area, knowing what the zoning has gone through on our waterfront zone, we've tried to keep the developments at 50 feet or less so the residents behind these developments can have some airspace to see something of that bayfront. I have no problem, I know that area very well. However, I think the people in that area need to have behind them some access as such. When Scott needed some variances, when he went up higher, the zoning hearing board allowed some green space for the residents to get around those properties so they can come down to the bayfront and see our lovely bayfront, which is a magnet, which is the draw to our waterfront. I know that area very well, Father Simon and the people down through there, and I would say that the zoning hearing board, the hardships as far as the wires and all that go down there, that's been down there for quite a while. Possibly with the Bayfront Parkway relocation down along the railroad corridor, some of that may change because of a proposed bridge at the Holland Street corridor between Holland and German. So I would encourage the board to look at it. It could be temporary. The wires is no hardship. I mean, you can see through something like that, and I'm sure the residents down there would like to have the best view of the bay as they can. But 4 stories and asking for the 14-foot variance, I think there should be some compensation, some mitigation that should be considered by the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. We have you. Yes, we did get your name and address. Yeah, you gave it, I think, didn't you? Oh, did you get sworn in, Ed? Ed, were you here earlier?
I was here earlier, but I wasn't going to talk on anything, but this one was of interest, so I raised my right hand and swear.
So you did get sworn in?
No, he didn't.
Oh, all right. Go ahead, Ben. Swear him in.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you gave was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
So the testimony that you just gave was all the truth and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from the board? Yeah. We're going to take a little second for executive session and we'll come back. Okay, we're coming out of executive session and to resume the hearing. I think we had some questions from one of the board members anyway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McBriar, you had insinuated in your application that if the guy wire was not an issue, you could potentially reduce the height of the proposed property.
No, the
and go-
guy wire is an issue because we can't get any single-family parking in there on site. Okay, because the guy wires are onto the property, it goes in 23 feet.
Yes.
Okay? The only thing they've offered to do is move it 3 feet in one direction or another.
Okay.
So we can't do that, so we went back and we decided we'd move the building forward so that we were out of the range of the guy wire, and we'd put parking in there to support those 4 units.
If the guy wire were not an issue, would you
Would I do something
change?
different there?
Yes.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I'd put up a 12-unit apartment building. And I have the parking to do that.
Okay,
I don't want to do that.
okay. Okay,
Not that that's not the problem. The problem is we went away from that. We've drawn that a couple of times. I have it drawn, but we're not going to do that because we can't. So,
okay. Second question, you had mentioned having a conversation with the neighbors directly next door.
right, that's correct.
Yes. Have you had
Jesse and Ricardo should have sent in a letter, Jake, and that they were in support of this project.
Yes.
And I also should have a letter from Dan Delkamper there, who's an adjacent neighbor across the street.
Okay,
I don't know if that's there or not. We've talked to all those neighbors.
okay,
The neighbor that's directly behind our lots, named Mr. Lewis, declined to sign it.
okay. I don't have anything further.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there anybody else to speak against or for the variance? Any of the board members have any questions? Notwithstanding, I call for the vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to table this until next month. I'd also like the board to have an opportunity to visit the property together. I'll second that.
Okay, want to take a vote on that, Jake?
So we have a motion.
Or can a director just table it and with a second and that's it? Or do we need to vote?
You can just table it.
So it got tabled?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. McBriar, we're going to, Mr. Kissel, anybody else, we're going to table this until next month. With that said, Merry Christmas, everybody.
So
Wanna
moved.
make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Good job, Mark.
Second.
Thank you.
Can I ask you